top-down racer with super in the title. No, it's not that one. Superstock Car is a 1990 Mastertronic Plus game out for $2.99. Pick a power car and race around 6 scintillating tracks on the quest to become the meanest, hardest, fastest driver in the world. Now, let's not niggle over what stock car racing actually is, because it means different things in the UK and USA, and basically you've got supercars in this game, but they couldn't call it supercars, could they, because of gremlins? So we're going to start off on the C64. It's interestingly copyrighted to Virgin and not Mastertronic. Off we go, and it looks very like Micro Machines, but this predates Micro Machines. It's very fast and very uncontrollable, and as soon as you touch anything, your car comes to a grinding halt. With a kind of little animation, they get caught. Everything's a hard surface. So you get caught on a corner there, and it's race over. You have to qualify first, by the way. Did I mention that? CPC version, coded by Cyrox 1989, but published in 1990. Very colourful status display. Will the full game actually be in Mode 0 or Mode 1? Select your car: Lamborghini, Ferrari, Lotus Esprit or Porsche 959. Of course we're going to select the Ferrari. That's us there. And it's quite jerky. And yeah, there's quite a delay between steering and anything actually happening, and there's basically you can only go in 8 directions. There's no intermediate animation, so you're either going up or down or right or left or diagonally, and that's it, which makes course corrections very difficult. The zoomed in map isn't so much of a problem once you know the layout. Also, when you spin round, you always end up facing the wrong way. I don't know what position we're in. There is a little status display showing the layout on the bottom right. The problem is, it doesn't show you that any stage until the race actually starts. So you start racing blind, and there's cars spinning around and crashing there. Over to the Spectrum. And there is a 2-player option, but it's 1 player after the other, so we won't worry about that. Status display looking very similar to the Amstrad actually here. Let's select the Lotus. And this is qualifying time 3 minutes, and that means you have to complete the 5 laps in 5 minutes or 3 minutes. Except it's not 5 laps, it's 4, because as soon as you cross the line to do the 5th lap, that's it. Yeah, you know, you're supposed to actually complete the final lap, but yeah, it's always 1 lap less than it actually says. This is handling better on Spectrum. Is a little bit faster, but there's 48k sound. Why is there no they're going to put the Amstrad music in here? It's 1990. Okay, game coded 1989, released 1990, and you have not put 128k sound in when it actually exists on the Amstrad. How lazy is that? It's astonishing. You've got the music, it will run straight off. Put it in. And that red Ferrari just spinning around on the corner there, and you'll see a lot of that. Computer cars just crashing and not being able to do anything and just sitting there spinning around for the rest of the race. There you go, start on lap 5, done. Came 3rd, doesn't matter, providing you get round in the allocated time, you're fine. And you get points, but it doesn't do anything because there's no upgrades. Track 2. Oh, you end up pacing the wrong way quite often. Is it me or is there a stray pixel on some of those frames of animation? Anyway, off we go. Another car spinning around, it's the Lamborghini. As beloved by 5 Star. The pop band who bought one. I think it was Stedman who bought one. Was it? I can't remember. Lorraine or Stedman had a Lamborghini Countach and weren't old enough to drive it. And they apparently drove it around the grounds of their massive mansion and crashed one of the supercars. Oh dear. very colourful on the spec. I do like it, and I love the texture on the grass using the 2 shades of green. There's not really any significant colour clash until one of your cars overlaps one of the other cars. We tend to lose a block of colour. See, we did there very slightly, but it's not major. Everything's been done in 8x8 blocks, and it works pretty well. Oh look, a car spinning around for no reason. And you can always hear that as well. You'll always hear that noise, that da-da-da, that clicking noise when they've done that. Back to the C64. Let's give this another go. We're going to do level 1. We're going to complete this. I've done this about 10 times now and I still can't do it. It's so fiddly. The controls are so bad. The capture lag is not helping this at all. And the fact you just come to a dead stop as soon as anything touches you, including being rammed by other cars. This feels like a completely different game to the other versions. We've completed level 1. There were 6 races, by the way. So this game could be over pretty quickly. Level 2. Off we go. One mistake and it'll, yeah. One mistake and it'll be over. See, those cars can crash straight through me. And they don't get penalised, but I do. Oh. And the races are so short, you've got no chance of catching up. It's a completely different game to the Spectrum and Amstrad version. It could be so good. This could be one of the best top-down races on the 64, but just because of silly decisions, it's not worth your time. One more lap, and I'm out front briefly, and I could do it, but they all crashed through me, and now I'm jammed on a corner, and oh no, game over. It's going to be game over there. Yeah, game over player 1. And you've got to go back to the beginning again, then be crashed into by loads more cars. Back on the Amstrad in a Lotus, and the Lotus handles better than the Ferrari. What I've learned is that certainly on the Spectrum and the Spectrum and Amstrad, the only versions you can choose the car on. The cars handle differently, so the Lotus, if you're going to play this game, is the best one. It's not the fastest, but it turns quicker. I was complaining the car wasn't turning fast enough, but actually the Lotus turns fine. It's not as quick, but it turns fine. He says, crashing in. It's better. I say fine, what I actually mean is better. Liking the texture on the road, by the way. In blue, it gives you an impression of movement. Most games would have just left the road a solid colour. It looks very attractive on the Amstrad. This could actually be, with some work, these Spectrum and Amstrad versions could be decent games. A little bit more animation, a little bit more manoeuvrability on the cars. Zoom it out a bit. I'm guessing the Amstrad version is stuck zoomed at this level because it's basically the Spectrum version with the same code but different graphics slapped over the top, so everything has to be big 8x8 pixels. We start off and now I get my first glimpse of the track, so I don't even know where I'm turning. It's fine, once you know how the track's going, you know the car's spinning around up there. And putting loads of corners into a track like this is fine, but the cars simply don't have the manoeuvrability. And then you get rear-ended by another car and you have to drive really slowly because it jams you down at that speed. Position 4, 10 points. Again, did 4 laps, but the computer says 5. I've played worse. I dare say if you pick this up for $2.99, you can have some fun with it. It's not a bad budget game. It kind of does what budget games should do. It's just a few small things that are so preventable that would fix this into being something actually a bit special, I'd say. Certainly, if you read the box and you looked at the screenshots on the back, and they put the Amstrad screenshots on the versions I've seen, you go, yes, I'll have some of this. I would have picked it up. No question I would have picked it up. And oddly enough, for all its faults, this is the kind of back end of the Mastertronic era where they were just doing very lame games and basically putting up the Virgin stuff on budget. This is better than a lot of their output at this stage. That CPC soundtrack really helps things along. Off we go again, 5 more laps. There's only 6 tracks, so you just go around the same tracks over and over again And you're going to get bored of this. Once you've done this and raced all the different cars, you're going to get, that's it. Because there's no reward system. These points you're getting, what are you doing with them? You're not upgrading the car or doing anything with them. It's almost as if the coders have gone to Virgin with the game as a concept that's working, saying, hey, we've got this, do you want us to, we can develop this as a full price game. We can add some stuff in, and Virgin have gone, nah, it's fine, it's a budget game, we'll just stick it out. Because it just feels, it has the beginnings of something that could be quite good. And oddly enough, it's a game I've never come across before. I've seen it in the shops or anything, or seen any reviews. I just stumbled across it on a website. Superstock Car. It's a game of wasted opportunities, really, because all three of the versions have a kernel that is pretty good. The C64 version is like Micro Machines. Before Micro Machines. It's come out before. And it looks astonishingly similar. But it doesn't play like Micro Machines. It has horrible gameplay elements that mean you get hit from behind by computer players that bring you to a dead halt. The races are so short you've got no chance of catching up. And you get thrown back to the start to go through all those frustrating races again. The Spectrum and Amstrad versions are different games, really. They actually feature known cars, Porsches, Lamborghinis and Ferraris and so on, and each of the cars have different characteristics, because for example with Lamborghini you go faster when you hold down fire, but it's very jerky and there's not enough refinement in the steering. There's 8 directions and that is it. It's very difficult to overtake because you'll suddenly be going diagonally and you're just a little bit too zoomed in, which is a shame because on the Amstrad certainly it's an attractive game both sonically in terms of graphics, and on the Spectrum it looks really good as well. It's just a shame it doesn't have that Amstrad sound. I'm afraid on all 3 versions it looks like a game that is unfinished, and you know what? It's a shame it is unfinished because with some polish all 3 versions could actually be classics. Did you get your $2.99's worth though? Probably on the Spectrum and Amstrad.